Trump-appointed Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is testifying before Congress today. And before the hearing, Donald Trump publicly insulted Jerome Powell and publicly demanded that Republicans in the hearing attack Powell. But the hearing seems to have backfired on Trump because Powell admitted that he would have cut interest rates for the American people already had it not been for Donald Trump's tariffs. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, this seems to have backfired on Trump, seems to be pointing him as the culprit, the person to blame behind interest rates being as high as they are, because Powell would have cut them already if not for Trump's disastrous financial and economic policy. So in advance of the hearing, Trump urges Congress to hammer dumb, hard-headed Fed chair at hearing. Donald Trump unloaded a fresh attack on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, blasting him as, quote, very dumb and hard-headed, while applying pressure on the central bank to slash interest rates ahead of its next meeting in July. Trump, who has long bristled at Powell's caution, argued that the high borrowing costs are stalling economic momentum. The Fed, meanwhile, remains wary of inflation risks linked to Trump's tariffs. Quote, too late Jerome Powell of the Fed will be in Congress today in order to explain, among other things, why he is refusing to lower the rate. Europe has had 10 cuts. We've had 0. No inflation, great economy. We should be at least 2 to 3 points lower. Would save the USA $800 billion a year. Plus, what a difference this would make. If things later change to the negative, increase the rate. I hope Congress really works this very dumb, hard-headed person over. We will be paying for his incompetence for many years to come. The board should activate Make America Great Again. And Trump has also publicly indicated that he might reconsider firing Jerome Powell, which of course would be hella illegal. Okay? Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at this very specific response, or rather clip from Jerome Powell. As Mediaite reports, Fed Chair says we would have continued cutting interest rates if Trump's tariffs didn't spark inflation fear. So here's the clip in question.
If you just look at the basic data and don't look at the forecast, you would say that we would have continued cutting. The difference, of course, is at this time, all forecasters are expecting pretty soon that some significant inflation will show up from tariffs. Now, and we can't just ignore that, but we're just saying let's wait and see more. That's all we're doing. And if you will have noticed, a substantial majority of the committee has written down rate cuts in the remaining 4 meetings this year. So it's just a question of being prudent and careful. But at a time when the labor market is still strong, we don't see weakness in the labor market. If we did, that would change things. We're going to continue to adapt as the data adapt. But that is the difference between then and now. Then, inflation was forecasted to continue to come down. Here, it's forecasted to go up by all forecasters. So, and again, we're not overreacting to that. We're just saying, hey, as long as the economy's strong, we can take a little bit of a pause here. And that's what we're doing. And again, continue to adapt as the data comes in. If we see data that suggests that inflation's not going to produce big increases, that would matter. And if we saw the labor market weakening, that would matter too. But we don't see those things.
And play that first part one more time because he's very explicit.
If you just look at the basic data and don't look at the forecast, you would say that we would have continued cutting. The difference of
if not for Trump's tariffs, which are inherently ridiculous, and then he applies them even more ridiculously, if they were not upsetting the apple cart and causing every major economic forecaster to predict high inflation or increasing inflation, the Federal Reserve would have done exactly what Donald Trump wants and lower interest rates, which would benefit indeed the American people. It's because of Donald Trump that our interest rates, your interest rates, continue to remain where they are, that they have not been reduced. That's because of Donald Trump and his ridiculous tariff policy. It is 100% cause and effect, 100% Trump's fault. And this is the situation that Trump finds himself in. And he's hoping that you don't draw that connection and that you don't draw that connection in mind by the time of the midterm elections. He's hoping that that relationship remains opaque. He's hoping he can bully and pressure and intimidate the Federal Reserve into just cutting interest rates in advance, which could be very politically beneficial for him. So far, the Federal Reserve is holding strong. And again, Jerome Powell, Trump-appointed Jerome Powell, doubles down during the congressional hearing and reminds people that, again, all the forecasters are predicting rising inflation, particularly by the third quarter because of Trump's inflation.
That out. Why aren't we doing what the rest of the world is doing? Is it because we're at full employment? Is it because of those tariffs concerns that you said weren't part of the analysis? Was it energy, groceries, durable goods? Why?
So you're right that if you just look in the rearview mirror and look at the existing data that we've seen, you can make a good argument that that would call for us to be at a neutral level, which would be, a couple of cuts or maybe more kind of thing. The reason we're not is the forecast by all professional forecasters that I know of on the outside and the Fed do expect a meaningful increase in inflation over the course of this year. When I said we weren't going to talk about tariffs and inflation, that was to say until we see what the policies are. And so now we know a lot more. It's 6 months since I said that. So anyway, I'd be happy to continue this with you.
This is the problem. Donald Trump is responsible for this situation. 100%. He is complaining about the very mess that he's created. He, again, to use a very crass scatological metaphor, Trump shit his pants despite being begged not to. Don't do it. You don't have to do this. And he crosses his arm, a grown adult. No, I'm going to shit my pants. And he shits his pants. And then he's furious that the Federal Reserve is not wiping his ass. That's what this is. They can't do it. They can't do it because you don't know what else is going to happen. And the forecasters indicate that the shit's going to continue to flow, to again torture the metaphor. This is a situation of his own making. We have to shout that from the rooftops. And while we're on the topic of tariffs, it's important to note that even Fox News seems to be calling out the Trump administration like, hey, where are them damn deals, huh? Where are them deals at?
The last time you were on the show, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about trade deals and how, well, pretty soon we're going to get some trade deals announced. Okay. Mm-hmm. No trade deals have been announced as far as I know, apart from with the Brits. Where are those trade deals?
Yeah, I think that what we're focusing on this week, obviously there's been quite a bit going on, but I had to call on a reconciliation package question with Howard Lutnick yesterday. He picked up right away, and he was in the middle of trade negotiations. We know that we're very, very close to a few countries and are waiting to announce after we get the big, beautiful bill closed. And so I think you're going to see a sequence of trade bills really starting from around the 4th of July. I was the dinner speaker last night at the House for the Main Street Caucus. The speaker was there, and the House members are really, really stoked to get the Senate bill, and they're kind of pre-conferencing so that they think they can vote on it right away. I wouldn't be surprised if this bill passes before the weekend.
Yeah, but what's the problem holding up the trade deals?
Oh, it's not a problem. It's just what are we doing things one at a time.
That's the legislative branch. Man, you're an economic advisor in the executive branch. Where are the deals? See how he's filibustering? He's like, oh, yeah, we totally calm the situation or make some great strides by announcing these trade deals. We could do that. We've got them. We definitely got them. But we're not going to do anything. We're not going to talk about it until after, this other thing happens. And I had some dinner. I had dinner with these people yesterday, and bro, it was such a sick dinner, bro. So transparently, Stuart Varney on Fox News, that is a guy who is predisposed to buy what they're selling. He wants to believe them and he wants to regurgitate it and sell it persuasively. But you can see on his face, you can hear it in his voice. It's man, I can't sell this shit. You are stonewalling, you're filibustering, you are not meeting your own damn deadline. The Trump administration's fiscal policy has been an abject disaster. Jerome Powell, Trump appointed, confirms it. You want lower interest rates? Ditch the tariffs. That's what he's telling Donald Trump. And be it the deals or the tariff implementation themselves, the Trump administration is doing everything in its power to not create the circumstances, to not create the situation and the environment that would permit the Fed to responsibly lower interest rates. It is all Donald Trump's fault, and none of us can forget it. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.